Look at a word like gap. Gap. Starts at the back, gap. Goes all the way to the front. Gap. It's sort of an image. It's a verbal gesture. Gape. Gape. You gape your mouth when you say it. Another verbal gesture. Gulp. Gulp. That's imitative. You're actually gulping. But it's similar to golf. Golf, like in golf. Starts at the back of the mouth. Goes to the front of the mouth. Engulfs, like grab or grasp. Clasp. It's good to know where the letters are in the mouth, the physical characteristics of the letters, so that you can see these verbal gestures. You know, we tend to think, because our alphabet is phonetic, we tend to think of the sounds the letters make. And we don't think as much about the mechanics, the kinesiology, the kinesthetics, the way that words move from letter to letter, and how there's meaning in that. Let's say back, b is at the front, in the back, that C and the K at the back, the lips at the front, b-ack. I've devised a chart I call the Gunk-Dent-Bump consonant location chart. Bump, because the letters of that word are all in the lips. Dent, because it's all in the upper palate, roughly in the middle. Gunk, because the consonants in that are all at the back of the mouth. Those are the three columns in my chart. Gunk, dent, bump. I use consonants. I don't really focus on vowels at all in this chart, just consonants. The reason for that is for the same reason that the alphabet began without vowels, just consonants. It's because vowels don't have a stop. They tend to be ow, I, o, e, in the middle of the mouth, and it's mostly the voice. The vowels are the movements that the voice makes, the tone of the voice. Whereas the consonants generally represent the stops between the vowels, the beginning and the end of the word. They're voiced. It's the vowel that's the voice coming from the stopped point. G, g. See the hard G down there? G. Gap is the P at the end. It's just the consonants are the postures of the speaking organs. The early scribes could actually see that and document that and make talking cues out of, which is what the letters were. The sounds themselves, the phonetic describes our alphabet only indirectly, because you can't really document the sound. The actual pictographs tend to focus on the postures the organs make, the lips, the mouth, the tongue, as it was speaking those particular sounds. So the pictographic alphabet, that's part 2 of this series. But here in part 5, I'm creating a chart I consider analogous to the periodic table in chemistry, the way that the chemists treated the elements with rows and columns to see repeated structural patterns amongst the elements. I looked for the same thing with letters and created a rough chart based around 9 of the letters. Three up front, the bump letters I call them, because they're all made with the lips. And then 3 in the middle, the dent letters, all made right where the tongue tip on the upper palate. And then in the back of the mouth, the gunk letters, the g, k, all in the back. So those are the 3 columns. Then I divided them up into rows also on this. And I noticed some letters are made with just the breath alone. Put those at the top, lowest energy, p, t, k, k, t. These are the fricatives. I call them unvoiced explosives, fricatives. Some letters are made in the exact same way, enunciated similarly, like say the P and the B, for example, but the B is voiced explosive, b, whereas the P is p, breath, the B is voice. The dent in the middle does something similar. The d and the t, the t at the top is unvoiced, but the D is voiced down at the bottom of my chart. In the back, the g is voiced, but it's g, k, k, k. The K sound, the C and the K, are spoken similarly. It's just a matter of breath versus voice. My middle row is where I saw the continuous voice, not explosive. There's a stop, but it doesn't release. So it's the epitome of this is what I call the continuum letters, the N and the M. N, like hum or resonance. They block and stay blocked, and so the sound of the vowel suffuses through the head in different ways. But the other letters also belong on that. But for this chart, I use the N and the M, because the N can be made anywhere along the tongue. So there's what I call, it's a spectrum, the N. I call it the back N is the N that comes before the G, the hard G, English, or gunk. That's the back N. Then the N can also be made with the tongue tip in the same place as the N and the T, dent. So dent is here, gunk, with the back of the tongue blocking up the mouth at the back. Gunk-Dent-Bump. Middle row is the continuous voice row. Breath, continuous voice, explosive voice. Bump, the lips up front. Just inside, there's a poetry to the words I chose. The bump is out front. It sticks out. Dent is just inside the surface. The dent letters you can't really lip read. Everything up here that involves the lips, much easier to lip read. And then in the very back, the gunk letters, because gunk is in deep. That's the thinking. Gunk in deep, dent just inside, bump out front. So the bump, dent, gunk, consonant location chart. Now that involves 8, because the N's twice. the 8 letters of the alphabet, but I've also used that as a framework on which to place, roughly locate the other letters. Say, beginning, say, with the W. The W I think of as out in the very front. It's because it's the mouth open. It's the most visible. I think it's the question letter. What, why, when, because it's the most visible. It's out. And you can see in the pictography of it, it's basically the opposite of the M. The M is the lips merging together. W is widening. They open. So window, it's out open, comes in, window, goes back out. So it appears at the beginning and end to kind of simulate something that you can go in and out of. Theta is another front letter because the tongue sticks through the mouth. It's hard to do it, but it's basically the tongue coming out of the mouth as like a pointer stick. That, this, those, them. So it's also quite visible. So I put that right up there with the bump letters. The F and the V also. But those involve the teeth. The lower lip recedes. The F is basically an unvoiced V. V has more force to it. I put that down at the bottom. F at the top. Those are the only two that involve the teeth there. And then the next step back in the dent area, just inside the teeth, where the tongue hits the palate area, quite a few letters come together. The L, L, M, Z, Z. They're enunciated differently. The Z and the S are there, but the Z and the S aren't full stops. They let some of the voice through. S, Z. Z is basically a voiced S. Just I think of it as sharpened, like the zigzags, sort of a sharpened S, basically. But you roll that Z, take the N, which is also right there where the tongue hits, in, roll that over, nz, like Tanzania. You can see the N and the Z are made in the same location. So a lot's going on there as far as the location of various letters. Then you get into the center of the mouth, where I say kind of like om, where the vowels emanate from. There's the vowels change according to the consonants that precede them and follow them. They're just kind of, the voice is going through the mouth and being inflected by the consonants in there in various ways. There are some rough differences, but they're more subtle than the consonantal stops. O rounds the mouth, E, kind of the tongue, E pushes it up, E. Various subtle differences. A opens the mouth, I kind of more in the back. Ooh, closer to like the Y, ye. The Y is almost a vowel. It's somewhere in between, but it's also kind of in the center of the mouth where the vowels are formed. So is the R. There's no clear stop for an R or Y, or H. So these can be diphthongs with vowels. They can have a vowel characteristics. Ooh, W is 2 U's basically. Ooh, it's the short and the long U together. Ooh, that's the vowel, the W. So W, Y, R, H. These are letters that have a lot more, or can be consonants like yellow, but also you can think of them, they're not clear consonants because they don't have the stops. So the Gunk-Dent-Bump chart helps you become familiar with the different physical properties of the letter, the more visible properties, not the acoustics or just the phonetics. You know, like what you think about when you're singing is more the sound. This is more about the kinesthetics, the kinetics of speech, diagramming them out like little dance moves, the gestures they are, sort of like seeing the mouth as a stage with a front and back to it. It helps you suss out the poetymology, how the meaning is being gestured out